It's about 6:26 coming up on here Central Daylight Time in Southeast Illinois. Beautiful, beautiful evening. I'm just sitting out in front of my mobile home and taking a look at the flag and wondering what everybody else is up to tonight. Yeah, it's your buddy Bruno, once again destroying precious airtime, countless numbers of ions, and just kind of watching the traffic go by. There's John and his wife, some of my neighbors. Out of respect for their privacy, I did swing it around and point at them. Don't want to scare them. Very, very kind and humble man. It's nice to have them as community members in our mobile home park. So, I wonder what everybody else is up to. Oh yeah, we were talking about the time. So yeah, Universal Time Coordinated. It's about 11:20, or actually 23:27 UTC. So let's see what's going on. Not many people chatting this evening. That's okay. So Flag Day is coming up soon. The week of June 14th is traditional observance. Been pondering that. I wonder what the flag means to all of you. Of course, my flag is a little different, being that the ensign that I fly is, of course, the retired United States yacht ensign with an anchor in it. Of course, I recognize the current ensign of the United States, our 50-star flag with 13 stripes. Now I was pondering and thinking about our Pledge of Allegiance, too. Well, good evening. How are you? What are you thinking about? You want me to flip the camera around so you can see how ugly I am, just in case you haven't seen that before? Here you go. Ta-da! There I am. Yep. Sorry, I'm here. Okay, now that you see me, I'm going to go ahead and flip it back. So, what are you thinking about? What's on your mind, folks? What you doing? Anybody want to enter something into the chat? Let's see here, we got 11 people watching this. And I can't see a thing on chat. Nothing. Not a zilch. Thank you for the like. I appreciate that. We always do. It is a beautiful evening where I am. You can hear the birds singing. There's just a few gnats out here to make things interesting. Looks like we've got 10 very shy people. Whoop. 4 of them had just dropped off. Now we have 6. Yeah. I sure wish somebody would start the chat. Just tell us what you're doing right now besides watching my live chat. Oh, lost another one. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe the chat feature isn't working. It won't if you're how can I put it? If you have a handle that you're using that YouTube might not, the algorithms might deem as offensive or something like that. Hopefully yours isn't. Me, I just use my name. So, yeah, just a beautiful evening. Well, somebody either came back or welcome aboard to you. I wish there was some way that I could see for sure whether the chat feature was actually working or not. I'd like to think that it is. And then suddenly, 4 people dropped off. Now there's only 2. Wait, Paul says, wait a minute, I got to take my glasses off. Paul says, hi, out of curiosity, what's the value on a trailer now with mobile or with home prices being outrageous? Well, that's a great question, Paul. It depends on so many different factors. The age of the mobile home, its current location, and of course the real estate values in your area and home prices in the area that you're actually looking at. Mobile homes' true values can vary wildly. We had one in our mobile home park that was so far damaged, and it was, there were windows broken and doors missing and whatnot. And also it was being sold by the county, a tax sale, because they hadn't paid their mobile home tax. And I think the starting bid was $950. And it was sad because at one time that was a beautiful mobile home. But unfortunately, people didn't take care of it. My advice is to try to find someone that is familiar with mobile homes and can perform a good inspection. Try to find someone independent, not necessarily someone that's associated with a manufacturer or anything like that, or a retailer. You might even want to talk with a manager at the mobile home park. They may actually be able to give you a good read on it. Another thing you can do, and I definitely recommend this, is talk to the local realtors who sell actual homes. Because simply put, they don't want to sell you a mobile home, all right? And they will also give you a more objective opinion as to the value of a mobile home. When I bought this mobile home, I spoke with the owners in the mobile home park, and I asked them what it was worth, and they were quite honest with me. And they told me that basically it didn't matter to them, that simply put, all a mobile home is worth to them is $5,000. Now, this was back in 2010, so things might have changed a little bit. But at that time, the ownership of the mobile home park that I lived in, simply put, they were more focused on providing a place for people to live rather than chasing after a profit. I was very blessed in that, as was my mother, who owned this home before I did. But because I had to buy the home from the mobile home from the estate, I had to, I had to look and see if I could get, if the price I was being quoted was in fact reasonable and fair. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to say what the value of a mobile home is. There's so many things that can impact it, and so many things that can be hiding under that skirting. Yeah, a lot of things can be hiding under that skirting. Yeah. And, well, thank you, Paul. I appreciate the thumbs up. You have any other questions? And we're not just talking about mobile homes tonight. We'll talk about just about anything anybody wants to talk to or talk about. So go ahead and get your fingers and thumbs busy and go ahead and enter something into the chat. Hello, Angie. Too many memories. Oh. Okay. Can you elaborate a little bit for us? Um, can you tell us about your memories, Angie? Yeah. Well, don't know. Don't know. Well, I know there's one other person watching here. I don't know if it's Paul or Angie or if it's someone else. Um, if you're one of the people that gave me a thumbs up, or gave the video, I should say, a thumbs up, thank you very much. It looks like we have someone else that's just come aboard. Welcome. What are you up to? What are you thinking about? We can talk about anything here, not just mobile homes. How about the weather? Gorgeous here this evening. Beautiful, beautiful evening. In fact, I'm going to swing around for just a second and let you see the sun through the trees. There. I don't know if you can see that very well. There it is. If you look right in the center of your screen, you can see the sun peeking through the trees. There it is. Isn't that gorgeous? Just gorgeous. So let's go ahead and let's go back around over here. I've just been meditating on our flags. Oh, Angie says, my parents' house, my brother owns it now, and he will not let me. I live in Melbourne, Australia. Oh. Sounds like there's, yeah, a little bit of a family dynamic at work there. I've never been to Australia, or especially Melbourne. I've seen videos and read a bit about it, but I can't say that I know very much. So, are your parents still around, Angie? I'm sorry. Yeah, I miss my mom and my dad too. So you wanted to buy your parents' home? Is that it? Is that my understanding? Is that correct? Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I sympathize and excuse me. I sympathize and I empathize with you on that. Um, yeah. Um, yeah. I know several families right now that are having to deal with family dynamics and the family homestead. Australia, I know, how can I put it? Australians, you are a bit different than us in America. You have a bit of a different a bit of a different heart. Historically, Australia was a penal colony, and the British would send their prisoners to Australia. And out of that beginning, you became a great and free nation, and one that has learned to live side by side with the Aboriginals. I envy you for that. America, we, the United States, well, it's more of, yeah, but, still, I try to take a world view myself. Of course, this was my mother's home, and my parents were divorced, and simply put, if there was going to ever be any way that I would have been able to purchase my father's homes, I would have had to, or any of my father's homes, I would have had to sacrifice a bit of myself that I wasn't willing to sacrifice, and lower my standards in a way. But I remember one home my father had in San Juan Capistrano, California, and oh, it was so beautiful. It wasn't that big. I can't remember how many square feet it was, but it was part of a community, and it was on a hillside, and it overlooked the valley. And but unfortunately, he and his wife, after they sold the airline catering business that they had evolved their business into, as an investment, chose to build even a bigger home that didn't have the view. It was a beautiful home as well, but somehow it wasn't as beautiful as the one that they had before that in California. And as a result, they overextended themselves, largely on the advice of someone that they trusted, and eventually had to sell that house at a tremendous loss, and then moved to Florida, where they lived out the last of their days. And they had a nice little home in Florida for a while, but eventually had to be placed in a assisted living facility. I had offered to relocate to Florida to help them as they aged, but they insisted that they could manage things by themselves. And my father and I both had a love of the sea and things maritime. And I knew that when I went down to see them, that I went down to see them as a guest. But we respected each other like a pair of ship captains. And I could go down, and just like a ship captain that might have been concerned for another ship, I could bring my ship alongside and just take a look around and make sure everything's going along okay. And at the time it was. But I couldn't come aboard and take command. That wouldn't be right. Um, I did the same thing when my mother was ailing in health. I was able to help her quite a bit, but um, but simply put, uh, I had to be my mother's son. I couldn't bring myself to take my mother's autonomy away from her. I couldn't bring myself to order my mother to take certain medications at certain times or to violate her dignity. Um, it was kind of complicated. My mother passed away, and I didn't have power of attorney. You know, I wasn't named executor of the estate. I was the middle child, and simply put, I had to defer to the elder child. So those are the rules. Angie, I can't quite make out if you are conversing with me or conversing with perhaps somebody else on the chat. Um, I noticed that you typed in independent. I know that we had talked about Great Britain and the history of Australia. And I know that Australia yet, if I'm not mistaken, is still a part of the British Commonwealth of Nations, isn't it? Which means that you are, yes, that means that you're independent of rule by Great Britain, but you yet recognize the monarch as sovereign. Is that correct? Yeah. May I ask, Angie, how do you feel about the monarchy yourself? You've been overseas. Can you tell me where you've been? What nations you've visited? Too many migrants. I don't understand. A little confused here. Yeah. It's hard for me to. Angie's typed too many migrants, and oh, she was to England in 1965 and then to Malta. Malta is a tiny little island nation in the Mediterranean. Um, yes. Yes. So were you born in Australia, or Did you emigrate to Australia yourself? Oh, and you've been to America. You've been here in 2019. That's not that long ago, just 6 years. So, where were you born, Angie? You were born in Australia. And do you live in Australia now? Wow. You've been so many places. You must have eyes and appreciation for things that I do not. I was born in the United States, here in Illinois, and I've largely known only Illinois and California. But I did travel for a time, and I've been to Canada. I miss Canada dearly. Excuse me. Yeah. If you look, if I turn the camera a little bit, and you can see the haze in the air. All right, and if you go back here and we look at the sun. In fact, I'll tell you what. Let me see if I can pick up and move and go back. No, no, not actually smog, Angie. Um, that haze is coming from the Canadian wildfires across Alberta, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Ontario, all across Canada. Um, uh, and yeah, some of the areas that I had visited back in the 1980s myself uh, are actually ablaze. When I lived in California as a child, uh, we would frequently have wildfires there too. I can remember several large wildfires. Well, things are going to get awkward here for just a second, Angie. I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera so that you can see me, just so that you know what I'm doing. But I'm going to try and continue the conversation. But I'm going to move from the front of my mobile home to the back of my mobile home so that we can see the sun more, a better view. So you have friends in Canada, you say? It's going to take me 2 trips to do this, but we can do it. Where in Canada are your friends? Okay. Like I said, I have to make 2 trips. I have to carry the phone in one hand, and I got one hand free. So the first hand is going to move my coffee mug or coffee cup back here. Let me set that down, and then come back and we'll grab my chair. You have to excuse me because I don't walk as well as I used to. I have to be honest, I kind of miss being able to march. But it's just the way it is. Harrow, Ontario. Okay. Can you describe where Harrow is? Like if you start at Toronto, because it seems like Toronto is always a good starting point of reference. Or if it's up north, if you could start from, say, Cochrane. Those are two places I'm familiar with. Of course, that was, what, 40 years ago or better? And I would look it up, except for to do that, I'd have to actually shut down the chat and knock down the whole live session. I'm kind of low tech here. Okay. So here we go. And now we'll turn this back around. And there, you can see the sun. And you can see the haze more clearly. Yeah. Of course, in Australia, you have wildfires too. Well, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah. I hope you have happy memories of that, though. I mean, you must. You said you have friends there. How long ago were you to Harrow? Oh, you have fire. You have floods in Queensland now. Yeah. I had no idea. I'm sorry. So much going on in the world and in the United States. Our news is sometimes it has kind of a nearsighted vision to it. So you were there when you were 6 years old. What year was that? Do you remember? $1965. So you were, excuse me. So you're born in 59. That would make you 3 years older than I am. I was born in 1962. Yeah. So, my gosh. So your parents took you there? I take it? Your mom. Wow. So when did you visit Malta? Same year, went by ship. Oh, wow. You're so blessed. You're so blessed. It must have been a long voyage, though. That's halfway around the world to go from Australia to Malta. Do you remember the name of the ship or what line you sailed on? I mean, it's not important. It's actually quite trivial. Said she has no idea. Well, when you're 6 years old, sometimes you know, how can I put it? You're just aboard ship. Um, I was pretty lucky in knowing the names of the ships that my father sailed upon, and oh, I understand. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah. Just be mindful. It's okay. The important thing is that you're here. I know I have a problem with short-term memory. I've had it all my life. When I was about 9, I took a blow to the face, and the wound became infected, and I was hospitalized for about 2 weeks. And ever since then, I've had a little bit of trouble with my short-term memory. Now I'm in my 60s, and you always wonder about whether, you know, you're getting the onset of dementia. And I just recently found out that I have a hereditary heart issue that I've known about since I was in my 20s, and it finally caught up with me. And just about the same time, it caught up with my dad. And I anticipated it. And as a result, I've surrendered my driver's license because now I have an increased chance of stroke or heart attack. So, yeah. And of course, my mother, she had mini strokes. And my father's sister, my aunt, had a brain aneurysm that for all practical intents and purposes, actually rendered her to be somewhat of a vegetable. But the thing is that you could still communicate with her if you learn to read her gestures. Let's see here. And Angie says, we went to Adelaide, Perth, South Africa, then through the Suez Canal, then Malta, England, then India, and Canada. Heavens! Adelaide, Perth to South Africa, through the Suez Canal, then Malta, England, then India, and Canada. You've been around the world. You've circumnavigated the globe. Heavens to Murgatroyd. That is just wonderful. That is just wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. That is just wonderful, Angie. I'll bet that you met so many different people. And when you're so young, when you're 6, you know, you're at that age where people from different countries can be scary, or they can be friendly, or they can be scary at first and then friendly. And yes, Angie says, yes, I have. I'm blessed. Yes, Angie, you are blessed. I kind of like to think that I am too. I know I'm blessed to have you as someone that's chatting with me tonight. I really am. I'm humbled. So what time is it where you are now? I would say probably, let's see here, if it's 7, that's 19. So it would probably be sometime in the early morning on June 1st where you are, isn't it? I can't say as I'm familiar with the time zones in Australia. But I can remember years ago having telephone conversations with a woman in Taipei, Taiwan. And it was always interesting because I was always talking to tomorrow, it seemed. Pinch and Punch, first of the month, 10 o'clock Sunday morning. Isn't that something? Isn't that amazing when you think about it? Now, by the time it's 10 o'clock Sunday morning here, I will have slept, at least 8 hours. Actually, you're trying to think. It's 21, or I'm sorry, 19. Oh, is it 1914 here? So 19, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You're 16 hours ahead of me. Angie, 16 hours ahead. I'll never catch up. It's just impossible. It's one of the things that Americans just don't seem to get. We're when you look at international time, we're like about the last on the planet to do much of anything as a nation because simply put, after time leaves the North American continent, what's left for us? Hawaii, Midway, Guam. I mean, and even then, it's still so far behind. And yeah, and I really think that impacts the United States worldview. And I always felt that if we would take a look at time and we would look at world time and how the rest of the world is ahead of us and at least humble ourselves that much, we would probably be doing a lot better on the world stage. But that's my humble opinion. So, yeah. So, Angie, I'm just curious, what kind of music do you like to listen to? Can you tell me some of your favorite songs? Well, 11 a.m. Friday morning, and I got Lindley, New York State at 7 p.m. Oh, you love rock and roll. Well, that's a good thing. I think we have something in common. Yeah. I'll have to. Do you post things on your YouTube channel? Do you have any music playlists? Like blues? Oh yeah. Blues are good. Yeah, everybody gets the blues. Da 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 dum. It's so funny because where I live here, yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, if you don't get the blues, that's okay, you know. But I mean, the music's good. Yeah. Yeah. Or if you're saying that you don't have playlists, that's okay too.
You've got mail.
Yeah. And that's my phone telling me that somebody has texted me, but I'm not going to answer that right away. Um, Simply put, I'm going to stay on here. Jackson Brown. Yep. Yep. Oh, I'm trying to remember. See, that's the thing. The way my memory works, if I hear the tune first, then I can usually identify the artist. But if you name the artist first, with very few exceptions, then I can't necessarily put the music together. But I'm familiar with the work of Jackson Brown. I just can't remember specifics. I know he's good, and I know I've heard him. I just can't, I'm having one of those brain. Well, I don't know if you've ever listened to Lisa Tarbug. She came up with the cutest term, brain frog. Okay. Yep. Yep. Okay. Satisfaction. All right. Oh, shucks. I know I've heard that song. I just can't remember it. Oh, nuts. Let's see here. Of course, when I hear, when I see the word satisfaction, I always think about, wasn't it Mick Jagger and wasn't it Mick Jagger that did "Can't Get No Satisfaction"? Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, that's a rocking tune. Yeah. And the funny thing, like I was saying, the funny thing is where I'm running on empty. There we go. Running on empty. Yeah, now I remember Jackson Brown. Yes. Oh, yeah, I can hear that tune in my brain now. Oh, yeah. Yeah, great tune. Great tune. Now I remember. Now I remember. Oh, yeah, and definitely the Stones. Yep, yep. And the Who. We got to remember the Who, Won't Get Fooled Again, and Eminence Front, and all that good stuff. Like Dire Straits? Do you like Dire Straits? See, most people my age, right where I live, they really don't remember rock and roll that much. And music to me is such a big mover thing. Oh yeah, yeah. Let's see here. Who else can we talk about? Let's see here. So we got Dire Straits. Of course, they did Money for Nothing, Industrial Disease, and The Bug. That's a fun song. Of course, Mary Chapin Carpenter did a version of the Bug too. You know? Let's see here. How about Joe Cocker? You like Joe Cocker? Okay. Two older sisters. Oh, you have two older sisters, or yeah, John Fogerty. Yep. Yep. And Creedence, excuse my tongue's tied. Creedence Clearwater Revival. They had a few good tunes too. But with me, CCR, a little goes a long way when it comes to CCR. Yeah. Well, I did too. Yeah. Of course, I can also remember, of course, my parents, they grew up during, they were born in the 1920s, and, they came up during the Depression and in the 50s, but their musical tastes also were somewhat diverse from what typically Americans were listening to. They listened a lot to Latin music. My mother and father both worked for Eastern Airlines, and my mother frequently would fly down to the Caribbean on vacation, it was kind of a benefit of working for Eastern. My father worked on the flight line, but they met at a party, I guess. And but my mom enjoyed Latin music. Dad, having been first generation Italian, his tastes in music ran more towards more classical type of things. But I just grew up loving it all. Oh yeah. Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Yep. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's some really, really intense music in that. Yep. Do you remember Joni Mitchell and trying to think who else? Harry Chapin. Let's see here. Who else am I trying to think of? Of course, there was that era of the 70s, in the early 70s, which was kind of an interesting time. Say about 1973 on towards 1976, where rock and roll kind of evolved. We were coming out of the Vietnam War era, so we had fewer protest songs, and there was a lot of love songs and stuff like that. So, of course, you remember Neil Diamond, and oh heck, oh shame on me, I can't remember her name. Oh heck, oh, the Beach Boys. Yes. Yeah. The Beach Boys, they had a style all their own. I mean, there was other California, surf music or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Oh, I'm shame on me that I can't remember the one artist's name. But she sang, yes, Janis Joplin. Yeah, kind of. Tragic life, very tragic life that Janis Joplin had. How about, oh, uh, give me a moment. I'm having another one of those brain frogs. Um, Melanie Savka. Do you remember Melanie Savka singing Candles in the Rain? I had to be about 7 or 8 years old when I first heard Candles in the Rain, and it was either on WLS. Yeah. Well, we've lost both Janis Joplin, and just recently we lost Melanie too. Yeah. But I'll never forget the first time I heard Candles in the Rain by Melanie Savka. And how can I put it? Like I said, we were actually visiting my mother's family. It was the first time that I had memories of Illinois, because even though I was born here, I was about 6 months old when we moved to California. Yes. Candles in the Wind. Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry. Just thinking about the song gets me choked up. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful song. And she performed that with the Edwin Hawkins singers, and which was even more, added more to the song itself. Yeah, it just added a whole new, more intensity to it. But yeah, she sang that. When I heard that for the first time, like I said, it was on either WCFL or WLS out of Chicago. We were visiting my grandfather in near suburban Chicago in countryside. And I fell in love. I mean, here I was, 7 years old. I had no idea what love really was. But I fell in love with her voice and that song. And yeah. And I'm still in love with her voice and that song to this day. In that way, and we're blessed in this through the gifts of recording. If we allow ourselves to be touched by these things, then really these people don't die. We can carry their spirits forward in our own hearts and our own souls. There's people I know that, oh yeah, Wild Thing. Yep. Was it the Trogs that did Wild Thing, if I recall correctly? I think it was the Trogs. I can't remember for sure. How old is your son now? Wow, I got one right. Gee whiz. I get 1 point. Yeah. And I have to ask, do you remember, I think it was Jim Lowe doing Green Door? Oh, so he's 31. Wow, he's less than half my age. Yeah. So what does your son do? Is he married? Do you have grandchildren now? Wonderful. You are very blessed. Very blessed. I'll bet you are so proud of your son. Oh, really? Well, that's cool. Yeah, Angie Caruana says, Caruana, I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. She says that her son is a manager of a transport company and he says, I take it he has an MC license. Is that motor coach? Or motor carrier? See, way back in the day, I drove motor coach. Just kind of curious. Yeah, that was in the days before we have what we have now, which is known as a CDL, commercial driver's license. In a commercial driver's license, you have certain endorsements. I'm not exactly sure how the whole thing works, but I was grandfathered because I had a perfect driving record and such, and you know, I was happy just driving motor coaches. I didn't really care to drive buses, or I used to say I wouldn't drive anything that bent in the middle. So you know, semi trucks or what we used to call them, where you were towing 2 trailers or even 3. You know, we'd call those things pups. And but yeah, just you know, if it just had a rigid frame, I was good with it. But if it bent in the middle, nope. That's a little too complicated. Yeah. Oh, you have an MC license. Okay. So you drive yourself. Okay, you can drive a B double. All right. Now that would be a Class B truck with double trailers. Is that correct? "26 meters long." That's a long truck. 26 meters long. Okay. That means, let's see here. If we're just gonna, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Let's see here. Now I gotta try and convert that. Now meter is a little bit more than a yard. So if we figure just roughly 3 foot to the meter, 3 times 26, you're looking at close to 80 feet long. Wow. That's a lot of vehicle. That's a lot of vehicle. My hat's off to you, Angie. That's a lot of vehicle and a lot of responsibility. Wow. I can't imagine. I think excuse me. I think the longest thing I ever drove on the road was, like I said, motor coach, MC9s, Motor Coach Industries MC9s that were built half in Pembina, Minnesota, and the other half in Winnipeg. Yeah, multi-combination. Yeah. But yeah, it was rigid frame, 36,500 pounds. That was the maximum weight. And I want to say we were 36 feet long and 8 foot and change wide in imperial measure, or in English measure, because in the United States we don't use the metric system. They tried to teach it to us when I was in, I don't know, 5th grade. Yeah, they tried. It didn't work. So we're still using inches and feet and miles and things like that. Then things get really weird. You're a mariner, you use nautical miles, right? Angie says we can drive up to 9 trailers. Those are what are called road trains, ladies and gentlemen. Road trains. So you must drive out in the outback too. Angie says that people are lazy. Yeah, we typically are. I admit I am. Of course, there's other people who always said I work too hard too. I guess it just depends on the moment you catch me in. Yeah, road trains. Yep. I played around with railway trains, as you would say. Railway trains. At one time, I actually started volunteering at museums like Heritage Railways that you have in Australia. But at one point, I was just within a hair's breadth of getting my locomotive engineer certificate, but I qualified as a conductor and a brakeman. But and I used to be a rail inspector too. I worked for Sperry Rail Service, and I think when I worked for Sperry, we had 1 or 2 cars in Australia. That was it. But I never got to go to Australia. I went, like I said, I went to Canada, and I went, in the northeastern part of the United States mostly. Although I did get down into Texas and Louisiana and Arkansas too. But yeah, I'm digressing. But yeah. But that's different, That's a guided railway. Road trains? Well, gee whiz. Steering wheels, shifting gears, brakes, all that stuff you've got to manage and all that responsibility. It's just incredible, Angie. Oh my gosh. And you've got to be awake and you've got to be alert and you've got to be so careful with that responsibility. And the road conditions, and what I've seen about road trains, when I imagine a road train, Angie, I imagine a dusty road in the outback, a little bit of brush on either side. So you're going to go to the Sturgis 80th anniversary, okay? Now I don't know if that's you say Angie's written, I have to Sturgis 80th anniversary. Now, I don't know if you're saying you have to go to the Sturgis 80th anniversary or you have been to the Sturgis 80th anniversary. And for those of you who don't know what Sturgis is, that's the big Harley gathering in Sturgis. I want to say South Dakota. She says she doesn't do it anymore. Yeah, well, you know, I used to ride a recumbent bike. I can't do that anymore because my balance is shot. But yeah, I never was a big person on motorcycles, but I always loved the sound of a Harley Davidson at idle, especially if it still had its original factory exhaust system. And I know that sounds funny, but it's because you could actually hear the machinery work. There was music in that. And she said, okay, so the 80th anniversary at Sturgis was in 2010. My gosh, it's been 15 years already. Seems like yesterday, doesn't it? It was the same year that my mom died and that I moved here to Olney into the mobile home. I bet you miss it though, don't you? You probably miss that just as much as I miss being on the water. And it's the thing about aging. Sometimes you have to give up a lot of stuff. But at least we have the moment we're in, true? Oh, that's okay. She said, sorry, the year was 2020. Yeah, what's 10 years here or there? It's the moment and the memory that are important. Hopefully it was a good time. Yes, I do, she says. She has a happy memory. And that's the important thing. See, that's the thing about the moments of our life. At least, the way I see things. We have a choice in how we can remember them. In some moments, there was confrontation. In other moments, there was unity. But in all moments, there's opportunity, even in confrontation. Because we can take a look at another person's point of view besides our own and hopefully gain an understanding. Oh, it wasn't a good time? I'm sorry, Angie. Is that part of the reason why you don't do it anymore? I'm sorry, I don't mean to touch on a sensitive subject for you. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. Angie says that in the States I got used. Well, I'm sorry about that. I apologize for that. Sometimes in the United States, yeah. Yeah, yeah. It seems that we have a lot of those here. I'm sorry. I really am. Yeah. Well, I've got to tell you though, Angie, for what it's worth, I really appreciate you being here tonight, or today, or tomorrow, however you want to look at it, in the point of time that we're in. But in this moment, I really appreciate you being here and being a part of the chat. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good that you did meet different people. Yeah. But still, like I said, I'm just blessed to have you chatting with me tonight, or today, or in this moment, I should say. It means a lot to me. Looks like somebody's riding their little scooter. I don't know if you can see it or not. There it goes. Yeah. A lot of folks around here, they'll take a bicycle and they'll put a little motor on it. Oh, well, thank you for talking to me too, Angie. Thank you for visiting and texting. We'll let the little motorbike go by. Well, I think it's just about time for me to go. No, the ambulances are not coming for me. Actually, I have my glasses off, so I gotta put them on. Looks like they're gonna be going down West Street. Oh, your Facebook account has been hacked? Yeah, mine was back 2014, I think it was. And it's still there. I mean, you can look at the Facebook for me, but I don't have access to it anymore. That's one of the reasons why I do so much on YouTube, because it's pretty hard to hack YouTube, especially the YouTube live things. They're real, they're in the moment, and the nice thing is that there's a record. And of course, there's conversation. You can hear the tone of a person's voice. And, with people like you, Angie, it's wonderful because you've opened up and made it easier for me to communicate with you. You're a very good person. You really are. Yeah. So just remember, they might try and hack your Facebook account or whatever it is, but they can't hack you. Nobody can hack you, Angie. So, well, like I said, the bugs are starting to come out. And the sunset's probably pretty much as good as it's going to get. And it's coming up on, 1945, 1946 here in Southeast Illinois, the Central Daylight Time Zone. And I need to have my supper. But I wish we could talk through it. Wish we could share a meal together someday. But nonetheless, I'll count you as one of my blessings tonight. So, well, thank you for joining me, Angie. I hope we get to do this again sometime. I do these things kind of irregular, but maybe I can figure out a way to let you know when I'll be on again, and we can maybe share some more. Okay? And good night to you. Good luck and Godspeed to you, Angie, and to everybody else who tuned in. And we'll see you around town. Good night.